welcome, Cigar Chronicles podcast. I am one half of your illustrious host. I am Tremont Arnold.
And I'm Ernest Tilley. Good evening.
All right, today we have a good one today. And like I said before, Ernest gives the introduction to our guests. I definitely want to give shout out to BS3 Network for this opportunity and this platform, as well as Roku TV, as well, and also all of the podcast affiliates that we are blessed enough to be on. Also, want to give a shout out to Crowns by Trade. Also, can't forget Soul Brother Cigars, Snob, for the sponsorships that we have. And last but not least, I'll let Ernest introduce this illustrious guest that we have for today.
Yes, indeed. Well, good evening, everybody. We have the privilege and honor of having Miss Terri Hollingsworth on our podcast tonight. Ms. Hollingsworth was elected on November 6, 2018 to a 4-year term as Circuit and County Clerk of Pulaski County. She received the most votes of any candidate on the ballot in that county. Sworn in on January 1st, 2019, Ms. Hollingsworth is the first, and we repeat that, the first African-American woman elected to a Pulaski County-wide executive position. She has worked in management positions in both the public and private sectors and nonprofit organizations. She has served on all levels of government and began her career working for the city of Little Rock as a city planner and later as the city's economic development administrator. Ms. Hollingsworth worked for Arkansas Secretary of State and was director of the State Board of Election Commissioners. She is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and Links Incorporated, and is a board member of Audubon, Arkansas. A graduate of Howard University in Washington, D.C., Ms. Hollingsworth earned a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. She and her son, Joshua Davis, 19 years old, are natives of Little Rock and attend St. John Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Hollingsworth.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you two this evening.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Tremont.
That old illustrious bio, pretty sure she got an old Wikipedia page over there, E.
I'm sure. You're the encyclopedia.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being on. And like I said, we definitely going to jump in with the questions. I know people are definitely anxious on getting to know more about Miss Terri Hollingsworth. So I'll start off. How's it been serving as the first Black woman as the county clerk in Little Rock?
Well, I would say that overall, it really has been a dream come true. I knew since I was in the 9th grade that I wanted to run for public office. So being here is certainly a dream come true. And it's not without its hills and its valleys, but definitely being the first Black, you also feel the weight or the responsibility of holding up the Black community on your shoulders as well. So I want to do a good job. So and that's the biggest part of it. I want to make sure I do a good job. I want to make sure that I make my folks proud, especially not only Black people, but folks who supported me.
Perfect.
Oh, that's all right. Well, look here, I gotta get used to this old professional side,
I can take it left if you want to go
left. Can you explain the role as the county clerk and kind of tell what a county clerk consists of?
Sure. Now, for your viewers, I want them to understand that this is Pulaski County, Arkansas, and that Little Rock is the capital city in Arkansas. And so I am the county clerk and the circuit clerk. Pulaski County is one of 18 counties in Arkansas that has what's called a dual role for the clerk. So I'm the county clerk and the circuit clerk, which means that I am the voter registrar for the county. I am the clerk of the court. I am the real estate recorder. So all transactions that happen across the county, whether they're commercial or residential, they're recorded in the courthouse. I have 17 circuit judges that I support, my staff and I support. And so that means that all the filings that happen, whether you're getting divorced or whether you're filing a lawsuit against somebody, all those filings happen, of course, within my court. And then marriage license happen within our office as well. So that's the role with both the county and the circuit side. So that is what we do. And I guess for the short of it, you can just say that I am the keeper of the records for the county. And I forgot one thing. I'm also the secretary for the Quorum Court, and that's the governing body, kind of like a board of directors or a city council, but it's a county council, and it's called the Quorum Court. And I call the roll, and of course take the minutes and that kind of thing for the Quorum Court. And then whatever proclamations and everything else that the county judge deems, that I make sure that gets recorded, and I also have to sign as a witness.
Like you have quite a few duties as a part of
Yes.
So I guess
it's really a larger role that people don't realize. So I end up affecting. I mean, every piece of paper that we touch affects somebody's life, whether they're getting married, whether they're getting divorced, whether they're adopting a child, whether it's a juvenile, that has to go to court. That my name is on it, and we have to touch every piece of paper, and we have to be sensitive to everybody's feelings as they come in to file those documents.
Oh, wow. So with that being said, I guess the next question would be is what aspect of your job do you enjoy the most? And if you want to add on to that, as far as what you would say is the least that you like about your job and your roles. So
let's see, what I enjoy the most is actually doing things like this, talking about what the clerk does. And tomorrow night, I will go before a neighborhood organization as I talk about the different election laws that change and how they affect those voters when they get ready to go to the polls, because our next election is May 24th. So I really enjoy that particular aspect of the job. What I like the least, of course, is the management of the employees. And that I have 95 plus employees. So when it comes to managing employees, that can be a downer sometimes, as you want to make sure everybody gets to work on time and they're doing what they're doing, supposed to do, and those kinds of things. But, you make the most of it and we move on.
Okay, good deal. Speaking of, I guess you would say, we're speaking about elections coming up in May. Can you explain the importance of voting in the local elections, especially where you are now?
Sure. For everybody around this country and in Arkansas and where you are in Texas, voting is your voice. Voting is our system where we elect people who have values that we have, who can can go and make the laws to govern us. And so your voice is your vote. And that's why it's so important for us to vote. And that's why even for millennials or that group that's from 18 to 34, it's very important for them as well, because they're the largest group that can really make a difference. And the things that they want to do, and they say if they would elect people who have the values that they want, we could really change this country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of that age demographic, actually Arkansas has the lowest voter turnout for the ages of 18 to 29. How does that narrative change, and what kind of message do you think resonate with younger voters?
So that narrative changes with the work that we're trying to do now in terms of going out and certainly registering people and making sure that we meet them where they are, to let them understand the value of why it's important to vote and how it touches their everyday life. So that's the thing. If you could let them, I think they really need to know how it touches their everyday life. I mean, I think young people don't get that connection. And once they get that connection, then I think they will have more value or see more value in why it's important to vote and why some of those old people are up there wanting to be elected and that kind of thing. And then I've seen where the younger folks actually are interested in being in office, and sometimes some of the older folks won't get out the way because we don't see folks who actually want to stand up. But the way that message changes is that, like I said, we're doing what in terms of getting out in the community, talking to the young people, trying to find out what's important to them and how things affect their everyday life. And then that's how we end up changing the narrative. And then it happens over time. It's just like what Stacey Abrams did in Georgia. That didn't happen overnight. That was a 10, maybe 12-year thing in the making. And so once we start now, then we can change the trajectory. I can't even say the word. We can change how things are for Arkansas in maybe 10 to 12 years.
Okay. All right. Talk about some of the obstacles that you came across when you were running for office, and just kind of talk about, some of the obstacles and how you came over some of those obstacles.
So I would say that my biggest obstacle running for office was raising money, because you guys, you've been in this game a long time. You know that when it comes to funds, white men are at the top, then white women, black men, and then black women. And so so I didn't even have a carryover of funds when I actually won the office. And I beat 2 white boys to get here. So I had to, when I entered the race, or I said that I was announced that I was going to run, say late February in 2018. And then the filing, I had maybe 4 weeks to raise $7,500, which was my filing fee. I raised that money. Then I had to raise money to actually run. And then I beat that. That was the incumbent son that I actually beat to be in that particular, to win the primary. And then I went on to beat the Republican in the general election. So I would say the biggest obstacle was definitely raising the funds and trying to make sure that we could get the vote out and that kind of thing. Because, like especially during the general election, I really kind of felt like we should have had more coverage at our different polling sites. But it was good that I, was able to get out and meet people and do different things. And so folks already went in and knew who to vote for. Didn't really necessarily have to have somebody at that polling site, but it sure feels good when you have somebody saying, vote for Terri Hollingsworth when you're, when they're at the poll.
And Ernest, I'm gonna say that she's being very modest. She didn't win. She whooped. So she's being very modest over there.
Oh yeah, you're being very political. I understand. So I guess one, what made you decide to just run for office? I guess that would be the next question we would want to know is what made you decide and
well,
what.
I'm glad you asked that question, Ernest.
You're welcome.
Actually, so I grew up in a family that was always connected with politics. And it was something that we valued. Voting is something that they instilled in me, and certainly something that we value. My father was a civil rights attorney, so he understood that voting mattered. And he worked for Governor Bill Clinton. He also, Clinton appointed him to the Arkansas Supreme Court in the 80s. He was on the Little Rock City Council. When I was a kid, I was around other campaigns, folks who ran for state representative and state senator and that kind of thing. So I was always around friends of my parents who were involved in the community. And so I knew from the 9th grade that I wanted to run for office. I knew I wanted to be a part of a governing body to make the laws of where in my community. And so I first ran for state representative, and Tremar and Arnold helped me. And I lost that race though. First race I lost, and I lost by 300 votes in a runoff to a civil rights attorney who was actually my father's ex-law partner, and I grew up with his kids. So for that person to be as strong of a civil rights attorney as he was, we did damn good in terms of our campaign to only lose by 300 votes in a runoff. So, and I think God has a plan for you. So, and here I am.
Wow. That's good to know. So, I guess in the same question I just asked, what advice would you give a young Black woman that is considering or interested in running for public office?
I would definitely tell them to, whatever office that they're interested in, they should get involved in their county party, whatever that county party is, so that they can get to know folks who are actually can support them, and also the folks who have a purse in terms of funds that gonna help them. I think they should also find out as much as they can about that particular office, whether it's city council, whether it's state representative, or whether it's, state senator or something like that. They should find out what's going on and then have an idea about what it is that they want to do and change within that particular office.
And it's kind of, I'm sorry, you might want to
Go ahead.
Just add on to what you said earlier. What do you think the reason is behind why Black women are on the lowest of the totem pole with regards to getting the necessary funding to run a good race?
I think that it's the same thing throughout history in terms of folks just not really wanting to pay attention to Black women and not really wanting to give us the recognition that we really deserve, considering we've been the backbone to helping this country since its inception. I think that's the real reason. And then the other reason is that I think is that white men want to stay in power. So they want to make sure other white men get the money and they're going to stay in power.
Well said. Well said.
For those tuning in, we have Terri Hollingsworth on the show today. Definitely, like I said, pioneer, trailblazer, any other adjective that you could think of. She's that, so we definitely appreciate her for being in the house. So I have a question. I know you were close to your dad, who was definitely a staple and pioneer in Arkansas. Can you give us anything any advice that he gave you that stuck with you throughout this day?
Probably not on the air. But he was just, his body of work was definitely a guiding force for me. My father was hard on us, on all the children. So or my siblings rather, and we knew that once we graduated from high school, that we had to go to college. There was no ifs, ands, or buts, right? So that first year at Howard, when I didn't do well, he said, "You want to work or you want to go to school?" And that really wasn't, you answer that question. That was, you get your ass out there and you better do what you're supposed to do at school, Yeah. So, so from that, I think I got the work ethic from him. I was 11, 12 years old in his office making files, during the summertime. So he taught us that work ethic in terms of what we needed to do to get the job done. And that's at least a little bit of what I learned from my dad, and plus a little bit of talking shit. So,
do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regrets. Not even, because I've been married. Of course, I've been divorced probably 20 years now. But anyway, I don't even regret that, because if I did, then I wouldn't have my wonderful son, Joshua.
Okay. So with regards to, I'm sure he's graduated from high school. What are some of his aspirations? Is he want to seek public office or serve in that capacity, and following his mom's footsteps, or he's going to go another route?
I think I told you at the beginning of this that I stopped drinking for Lent, and you about to make me start drinking. son is 19 and he's trying to figure it out. And he has gone to the local tech school, Pulaski Tech. And, again, trying to figure it out. He's making, I took a BC powder earlier because he's kept making my head hurt. But so I'm trying to roll with it. And then he's been working full time. So we'll see what happens in the next 6 months. If not, he's going to come down there and live with you, Ernest.
Hey, I too can attest. I have a 19-year-old that is trying to figure it out himself. So I definitely understand that. I say, I don't know if I can have two people. I hope he don't play PlayStation like my son. Boy, it wouldn't be no work getting done around him.
He does not play PlayStation, but get around those friends and you're having fun, and then you meet these girls, and next thing you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then your mother tells you tonight, you got about 3 months or you're going to be out of here.
I guess we'll change that subject real quick. Going back to getting refocused. Okay. What are some things that the people of Pulaski County can look for from you as the county clerk?
They can certainly look for me to continue to register voters, to continue to provide as the great customer service as possible, and to look for innovative ways to make sure that they're served during the election process. So, for example, in 2020, during the pandemic, the courthouse was closed, so we couldn't allow people in. So we had to service people outside. And so I got with the mayor of Little Rock and, of course, the sheriff. And, of course, I asked the county judge. And we blocked off a street by the courthouse so that we could have a drive-through return your absentee ballot. And so that absentee ballots are definitely under my purview. The actual election gets set up with what's called the Pulaski County Election Commission. So we wanted to make sure that people, it was almost like a Chick-fil-A line, because I wanted to make sure people could come through, show us their ID, sign whatever they need to sign, get and watch us put their ballot in a secure box, and they'd be able to go. And then that way they didn't have to get out of their car. They didn't have to be touched or anything, as it relates to COVID, what's going on. And so we did that, and we were very successful. And also during 2020, we had about 30,000 requests for absentee ballots, when normally we only have about 8,000. So that was a big chore that we did in terms of blocking off that street, making sure that we service the public outside during, of course, it started off, it was warm when we were servicing it. And then next thing you know, it was cold as heck, because it became wintertime. So, but we did it, and we did it successfully, and I'm very proud of them. So I want to make sure that we come up with even more ways to be innovative and help the public as much as we can, because it's always about service and making sure the public gets what they need.
That's good. That's good to know.
I'm gonna jump in and say this, Ernest, real quick. Definitely want to give a shout out to the mayor down there in Little Rock, Arkansas, Frank Scott, who's done an amazing job down there, just kind of changing the whole vibe and energy in Little Rock. He's one of the few mayors that you can actually touch. You'll see him out and about. You see him at a Central football game. So definitely shout out to Frank, and definitely those in Arkansas, those listening, definitely get out and support him as he runs again for mayor.
Cool, man. That'll work. I kind of lower the tone a little bit. I guess the question I would ask is, if you could turn back the hands of time, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
I would tell my 18-year-old self to not have any fear and to go for the gusto, whatever it is that I thought about or dreamed about, just go do it. Because I think I can remember being, well, of course I knew I was going to college, but I think after that, I thought about maybe going to travel Europe, by myself. I should have just done it. And then my 18-year-old self, I would say, do it. You learn a lot of kind of things. You learn a lot that way.
Gotcha. This is kind of off off script a little bit. With you as a Black woman, how do you navigate between race and gender being in your field and definitely being an elected official?
So how do I navigate? I tell you, I feel that all the time when I'm in certain circumstances where I'm feeling that, oh, was that racist? Or no, maybe that was sexist, that kind of thing. And so I have to just listen and try to make sure that I say the right words, if there's something to be said. And I do feel like when I'm in the room, if there's something that needs to be pointed out, if there needs to be, a Black person there to say this is not right, I will be the one that will do that, no matter how I feel like I'm being treated, because I feel like I need to stand up for what's right. But I guess how I navigate is to, when I walk in the room, I make my presence known and I let them know I'm not scared.
I'm with me knowing you, I'm pretty sure that isn't a hard task for you to do.
And then I will point out. I mean, if it needs to be pointed out. But then there's sometimes, sometimes you have to just sit back and watch and see how things play out as well. But I certainly make sure, if it needs to be said, it's going to be said. I don't miss that opportunity.
I can definitely concur with you on that. If you could have dinner with 3 politicians dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Shirley Chisholm, Barack Obama, my father, Les Hollingsworth. Now, I say sure. You only said 3. You said 3, but Barbara Jordan, I would add Barbara Jordan to one of those as well. I can remember watching Shirley Chisholm and Barbara Jordan, on TV as they were, in Congress. And I think that was the other reason why I wanted to run for office, because I saw those strong Black women standing up for our community and advocating for us. Plus, they're good Delta women. And of course, Barack, because I just thought he was a great all-around leader. And then my father, who I watched navigate and this political scene in Little Rock. Not only could he bless somebody out on one hand, but he knew how to be their friend as well. So he was able to get a lot of things done across the aisle, with any kind of policy that needed to be done within the city. And he called people out when they weren't doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Let me, I'm gonna ask one more, Ernest. Let me ask you this question, especially when it relates to Arkansas. Do you think, and what do you think it would take for Arkansas to turn blue?
I was about to say some people need to die, but that's not the right answer. It's actually gonna take a while. It's the cycle. Like I said, it's probably gonna take a good 10 years or more, and it'll go back blue. I mean, that's just where we are right now. It's really interesting. I went to a county clerk meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there was one of the county clerks who apparently has been Democrat all this time, and now she says she's been switching to be a Republican on the ballot. And I'm going, now, all this time that even Arkansas has turned red, they obviously voted for you. Mm-hmm. They're obviously your friends in some kind of way, and so now you got to run as a Republican to win. When what happened to 4 years ago? So I don't understand that particular way of thinking, because I think that if Democrats if that's my value, then that's the value I'm sticking. I understand people can change, but I'm not changing just so that we can win some votes. You got to know that I'm the best person and I'm going to do the best job, and that's why you're voting for me. not because I'm a Democrat or a Republican. It's because I'm doing the best job, and you've seen me do it.
I agree. With that being said, by you making history in Pulaski County, have any like folks under you or folks that's wanting to seek office, have they reached out to you, and what advice have you given them in their quest to make history along with what you've done?
Especially lately, since we just had filing, I've had a lot of people kind of reach out to me and let me know that they're running or and wanting some advice. Definitely, the biggest advice I give folks is to make sure you pull that voter list that's in your particular area, and you look and see who goes to vote, and those are the people you need to make sure you target with all your information. That's the best thing right there. And then after that, then of course you try to make events if you can. Now that COVID is opening up, there's more events about to start happening and that kind of thing. But you definitely want to target those voters who are going to go vote. And you don't just look at the last election. You look at the last election and maybe the one or two before that, so that you really can hone in on who's going to actually go and vote. And then you make sure that you have somebody pushing people to the polls. You got to do that.
And I'm gonna jump in and say this too. I know you said they need to look at the last couple of elections, but you need to emphasize the last primary election.
Okay. Yes, I will emphasize the last primary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that you're certainly right. It's definitely those primary, like especially which the races that they're running in. So,
right.
Then they got to know why they're running, and they've got to be confident. And the other thing, I let them know that this is a lonely business, so that when you are on the campaign trail, just know that even though you might have a team of volunteers, there's going to be one day when you're the only person out there knocking on doors. And if you want this, then you're going to be the only person out there knocking on doors, whether it's rain, sleet, or snow.
That's good to know. That's good right there. Because a lot of folks, I think folks don't even consider or look at that voting list to see.
So hold on.
That's good.
Hold on. I could tear that van up from inside out, man. I could break down the list till it can't be broken down no more, man. And it's just little things like that. People, need to realize, especially like I said, if you want to run for office, you got to know your demographics. You got to know the people that's in your district, in your area, that's actually getting out there to vote. Because I ain't finna waste my time with little Tim that ain't gonna get out there and vote. Now, I talked to little Tim mama because she gonna get out there. She gonna vote every election. Yeah. Because, like I said, as we know, the highest demographic of voters is the Black woman from the age of 25 to 55. They have the highest percentile of getting out there and voting in every election. So, as we saw, Ernest, with this past primary election, women came out and voted for women. Because it was some incumbents that's not there no more because of that.
Yeah. And there's some that won the primary.
Right. They didn't win. It wasn't even close.
Yeah. You're right. And it's a big push for that now in terms of women voting for women. But sometimes you gotta look at it too. I mean, who is that woman? Is that woman the best for that? I mean, I certainly champion women. I'm a woman, I want women to run and that kind of thing. But we also have to look at what kind of race is it, what area is it, and that kind of thing, because there was a judgeship race here, and it was two women, but one was white and one was Black. But the area that this person was running in was a majority Black district. So, why was that other woman, first of all, we questioned, why did the other woman even get in the race, that kind of thing. And then it was designed to make sure that we could get some Black judges. So why, we can't just vote for that woman just because she's a woman, right?
Right.
Right. So
that's true. That's so true.
Well, I'll say in a perfect world, because a lot of folks, when Obama ran, they just wanted to get out there and vote for him because he was Black. So
plus he was handsome. Or he is handsome. He's not dead. He is handsome.
If you have a thing for the dead or something, don't you?
Sometimes I wish I had a mafia crew.
So let's do this if you don't mind. I like to just pose a couple of words or phrases. Well, mostly words that we just want your first thing that comes to mind when you hear these words, if you would.
Okay.
First word would be reparations.
We deserve them, but I don't think we'll get them in my lifetime.
So, well, let me ask you this. So, in getting reparations, what kind of resources are we getting? Are we getting monetary resources, or are we getting, our 4 acres of the mule?
Mm.
I think we should get the land and some money.
I agree. I will agree. Let's see. Voting rights.
They belong to all, and they should always be easy and equal to access.
Okay. Social injustice.
It's the worst in America at this point, and I fear for Black men.
Okay, can you expound on that just a little bit?
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I just, the way the police will pick out Black men and stop them for no reason. The profiling, racial profiling. In our court system, we find more Black men that are going to jail still now than the white folks for the same offense. That kind of thing. I mean, so it's that kind of stuff in terms of the social injustice. I even have an example myself. This past summer, I got written up by the State Board of Election Commissioners. They were actually trying to reprimand me, which is like one of the highest things you could do in terms of a negative offense. Mm-hmm. And it was a mistake of something that happened in my office that affected 10 people. So basically what happened was a street file was changed so that maybe 10 people on a block, their street was changed, so they had to go to a different precinct.
Okay.
Now, after my lawyers defended me to a tune of $45,000, we found that clerks around the state have done way more egregious things that affected numerous voters, and they got nothing but maybe a letter, don't do that again, or maybe not a letter at all, but they were trying to reprimand me. So to me, that's social injustice, just like what happens to our Black men who get racially profiled just because they're Black.
And let me just kind of touch on that. That's a very sensitive subject for me because I've been racially profiled several times, and I just want to kind of get your opinion. Do you think defunding the police or some type of mental evaluations would be more of a thing for policing versus defunding the police, or your opinion on both?
So I don't think we should defund the police because we all need police at some point in time. Mm-hmm. I think that we should look at how it's funded to make sure that they are definitely going through sensitivity training or, whatever training that deals with other cultures and backgrounds and that kind of thing. And then there should be definitely some money going into prevention and intervention. So whatever that is in terms of helping our young men, maybe junior high school on up or something like that. But definitely there needs to be monies in those areas to help our folks.
Yeah, I'm a piggyback on that too. I don't think we should, necessarily I don't think defunding the police is the answer. I think, like if you could defund a pension, I think that'll open up some eyes, and that'll change up a whole lot of things too. But also, I think that we need to focus more on community policing. I think, and I still say this to this day, one of the best police officers that I know is Tommy Norman. Because he's in the neighborhood. He knows, Miss Millie Mae that stay on 67th Street. And he actually does community policing. I believe that if we get police officers that's actually from the neighborhoods and know the neighborhoods and know the people that are in the neighborhoods, I think that would be a better thing outside of getting, somebody don't know jack squat, about, this neighborhood, and they going in and they feel like they have something to prove. So I think, if we kind of focus more on community policing and actually, getting out in the neighborhoods and getting to know people in the neighborhoods, I think that will help out a lot, especially a lot of this stuff that's been going on. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well, Tremont, that I used to be married to the one in Little Rock that was like, definitely in the community policing. And so I learned a lot during that time about, helping the kids and everything that, the community police and riding the bikes in the neighborhood and all that kind of good stuff. And so I definitely think there's a need for that. And we need to get back to that.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100% on that. Reproductive rights. Ooh, I got the side out your mind.
Men should stay out of our womb.
Enough said.
That's definitely enough said.
Leave that alone now.
And I'm gonna say this one: chances of us, or chances of you in Arkansas actually having a black governor in this upcoming election.
So I believe in the Democratic candidate who I know is going to win the primary. His name is Chris Jones. And I think that he's going to give it a good run for the money. So, but chances are probably slim. But that doesn't mean that we need to give up, roll over, and just let the other person win without a good fight. And I think that once the primary is over with, he's going to give her a good fight.
And when you say her, who are you speaking of?
She who has no name.
I'm glad you brought that question up, Jamar, because I wanted to ask Ms. Hollingsworth, how would you assess President Biden and Kamala Harris in their first role as president and vice president?
I think that they probably are getting about a C for me. But I've been so focused on what we've been doing that I haven't paid a lot of attention to what they are doing right and what they are doing wrong, or what I feel like they're doing wrong, that kind of thing. I've been hearing a lot of comments about where is Kamala, now, and I never heard anybody ask where was Pence. You never hear from the vice president, so, and just because she was, I was glad I wanted her on the ticket. I'm glad she was on the ticket, but that doesn't mean that we were gonna change Black America. We do what we can, and especially with the Congress that we had, I really think they're doing the best that they can, because you got those obstreperous Republicans up there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there too, I'm a piggyback on that too, because a lot of people don't realize the president, or the sources that surround power is really the real power. The president governs affairs pretty much, and there's only so much that she could do per se, but and not even using that as an excuse. But like I said, the sources that surround power is the real power.
Right.
So we need to stop looking for other people to do for us that we have the power to do for ourselves first and foremost, You know, and that's why it's so important and so key that we get out and we put these people in these positions that's going to look out for the betterment of our needs, you know, and also too, you know, they clean up mess that we had 4 years ago, you know, so, you know, we're not going to see any real change probably, you know, in another 2 or 3 years anyway. So, you know,
right. We would start just like what you're saying. We would start seeing some real change in the second half of, I mean, or if the second term, if they were able to get that. You're exactly right. You know, so
you kind of dance around that question. We're gonna let you make it though. That's okay.
Which question? About the chances of governor or what? I said a C. They get a C.
Okay. No worries. First thing comes to mind: America in 2022.
The first thing that comes to mind for 2022 is that America scares me. I just feel like the way that these election laws have gone across this country, that they are trying to take us back to Jim Crow, you know, making us count jelly beans and all this other kind of stuff. And you know, I'm just gonna be in jail because I'm gonna stand up for it. I'm gonna stand up. I won't be doing this craziness. I mean, we have a law on the books that, and they changed this because of some of the good stuff we were doing in Pulaski County. But we have a law that says that I have to look at the person's actual voter registration application from when they did that at 18 years old, if they're going to vote by absentee voting.
Yeah.
Now, we had a 100-year-old lady who we couldn't find her original application, right? Now she's 100 years old, so that was even before computers were out, right?
Right.
It just so happened we knew her name, we knew her daughter, so we were able to find her daughter and then try to get this woman to come in and do a new application. If we hadn't done that, then she wouldn't have been able to vote. So they try to target such a small group of people, but they end up affecting a whole bunch of people. And that's just wrong because my signature has changed since I was 18. I'm sure your signature has probably changed since you're 18, and we don't really have any physical ailments. So think about those people who've had strokes, who've had, maybe break their arm right before, the election. And then they got to use an arm that they never, use the other hand that they never used before. It's just wrong that some of the things they do and like that. So I just feel like if we don't stand up and push back against that kind of stuff, and we let these folks keep, yelling at us and all this kind of stuff, that they're going to try to take us back. Yep. And I'm telling you, for one, I'm not going.
I know that's right. That's so true, and that's why it's so important to get these federal laws passed at Congress that trump some of these state laws. Because that's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. And if we can get some of those bills like Voters' Right Act, John Lewis Act, those bills passed in Congress, I mean that'll eliminate some of these atrocious bills that we have, especially in Texas. And I'm sure, like I said, Arkansas sounds like similar to what we're doing here in Texas.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
It's crazy that we can't give water to people who are standing in line.
That's crazy,
especially if it's hot outside.
I can tow the gun down there in the
right.
polling, in the polling location.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
right.
That's great.
How do you feel about us actually having a chance to get the first Black woman in Supreme Court?
I'm excited about that. Yeah. I think that perspective is needed up there. Because you always need a diverse group of people in a room to look at an issue. And then it's about coming to the middle and meeting the minds. Now, of course, they may not always come to the middle, but, you definitely need their perspective. I think it's fantastic.
I do too, and she's well qualified for the
right. Right.
Hey, well, I think we need to make sure we don't
You know
lose.
how we have to be? We have to be super qualified. So you know she's qualified.
Overly qualified.
Overly qualified. You know, especially taking into consideration, you got people like Kavanaugh already in there, you know,
With a track record.
with a long track record.
Yeah. I think the crime got him in there. The crime did it.
Well, I mean, remember when, or y'all might not be old enough, but remember when Clarence Thomas was getting in there?
I will.
He don't count.
I mean, I certainly understand your sentiment, but what I'm saying is he did some stuff that wasn't really very nice, and they still put him on there.
Yeah, and they've been reaping that since. God, don't get me started on that clown.
Right.
God.
He called him a clown. I love it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevon. I'm about to start cussing myself.
I was definitely going to ask this. What should I know it's re-election time. So do you have a candidate that's brave enough to run against you?
Well, Tremont, as you asked that question, filing was over on March 1st, and I have no opponent. So I have won my second term already. I am thankful and grateful to the people of Pulaski County.
Awesome. That'll work.
Yes.
Well,
so that's, and it's really, that is, I guess I was ready to get out and kind of fight. And defend my position and everything. So it's really, I'm kind of mixed. I'm very, very blessed and glad. Thank you. And, very thankful to the voters of Pulaski County that I didn't have an opponent, but I still was ready to duke it out and make sure that I won like I did the last time with the landslide. But I'm gonna take this win and move on and see what I can do to help other candidates to get in.
That would be my next question. Do you still plan on campaigning? So you answered that. Good. Good to know.
No, I'll certainly be out there. I've got a bunch of I've got something. Today's Wednesday. I've got a speaking engagement Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to talk about the voting laws in Arkansas. So I'm going to continue to be out there registering voters and trying to make sure people understand these new laws so that they don't get, somebody trying to put them in jail because it's going to be some Karen saying they did something.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna add this is my last question too. Especially me and Ernest can contest of all of the black judges that we have that have won in the last 8 years here. It's definitely been a big surge, and there's definitely been a surge in Arkansas. Can you talk about, or how do you feel about the surge of black men and women that's actually running for some of these judge seats?
Oh, I think from the ones that I see that are running, especially the ones right here in Central Arkansas, they are running in the seats that were carved out for them. Oh my God, I can't think of what the name of the. Hadn't asked me that, I could have told you. But anyway, my father was part of that redistricting effort to make sure that there were some seats that were going to be some black judgeship seats. And they are running for those seats. And I think it's excellent that they are in those seats. We need those folks because, we disproportionately are the ones that are in those criminal seats or juvenile seats. In terms of going before the judge. So we definitely need somebody who understands our folk and our culture to make sure that their sentencing is just and, fits whatever it is they did.
Cool beans. Well, this has been absolutely awesome having you on here tonight, Ms. Hollingsworth. I'm telling you, you've thrown some jewels at us, boy. Which they're gonna put them around their neck.
Well, this has definitely been fun, and I hope it's been informative for your viewers. I really appreciate you all asking me to be a part of this, and I'm just excited I got to be on with both of you all.
Oh, we appreciate you. I guess you can go ahead and close this out, Trey.
All right. We like I said, we definitely appreciate Madam Hollingsworth for being on. Definitely, like I said, you definitely shot some jewels. Like I said, the only thing that was missing us passing around the collection plate. Again, definitely want to give a shout out to BS3 Network as well as Roku TV, all of the podcast affiliates. That we have relationships with. Like I said, man, my co-host Ernest, we definitely couldn't do this. I couldn't do this without him, and vice versa. Shout out to Wing Snob. Shout out to Soul Brother Cigar Crowns by Trey. And Ms. Hollingsworth, can you tell people where to find you on social media?
So they can find me. You mean actually know my handles? That's hilarious. But I am on Twitter, Instagram, and of course, they can first go to PulaskiClerk.com, and then they'll see me from there in terms of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Ooh, cool.
All right. Like I said, it was definitely a good one. We definitely appreciate you for being on here. And like I said, just kind of informing us everything that you have had to overcome and things that you are still overcoming, as a Black woman, as a person that's holding elected a seat as an elected official and actually serving, because we have a lot of politicians, but we don't have a lot of people that are actually getting out and doing the work. So we could definitely say that you're out doing the work. You've been doing the work for a long time. So we definitely appreciate it.
And the first.
Yes. So this county is 200 years old. I'm the first Black clerk ever.
So we definitely appreciate it. And like I said, until next week, we'll see you guys again. And just stay on for just a second. And thank you again.